Since I moved into a new apartment, I've also got new neighbors. A family lives above us, and the children are still small. Sometimes I hear them play. At night, the parents are seldom at home and the children often scream strangely. A young man is living next to our apartment as well. He is a student and lives alone, except he keeps a cat in his apartment. When we meet in the stairwell, he usually greets me. Next week we all have a so-called tenants meeting where all the tenants of the apartment meet and talk about common affairs. I'm looking forward to the meeting, as I will have my say about what's right and wrong within this building. New Year's Eve is always the night of December 31st in Germany, France, and Italy. Most people celebrate New Year's Eve with friends and family. At midnight there are always fireworks. Most families also prepare a special meal. A typical New Year's meal is carp, goose, or hot dogs. Germans also love potato salad. Often, New Year's Eve is an occasion for many people to drink lots of alcohol. Most young people also go to parties, and some even go dancing. On January 1st is a holiday all over the continent, with almost all businesses closed. On January 2nd, however, it's a normal working day in Europe. Today Gilbert is going to buy new shoes. In a shoe store he asks the salesperson if they also have working shoes. The man replies that they actually have working shoes on sale for a special price. Gilbert sees a particularly nice pair of shoes on the shelf. He asks if they'd have these shoes in his size. The salesperson replies, "Sorry, they come as they are, with no guarantees for shoes on sale." Gilbert checks the price and buys the shoe ad hoc. The next day Gilbert is wearing his new shoes. However, in the evening he comes back with one foot limping as his heel is wounded. His wife shakes her head. "Why did you have to buy shoes that are much too small for you?" Gilbert replies, "Only one of them is too small, that's why they were such a bargain." Molly runs a small restaurant in a small town in southern England. She sells fish and chips, but her most popular dish is hamburgers. She has been in the restaurant business for a long time, and since she is always eating her food in the restaurant, she doesn't feel very healthy. She thinks all the grease and fried meals have taken their toll on her health. She tells this to some of her regular customers, and most agree she should offer healthier food. Other customers, however, have pointed out that she should keep her restaurant cleaner since there are a lot of cockroaches. Sometimes they can be seen on the tables. Eventually, Molly buys several cookbooks about healthy food, especially exotic Asian food, as it fascinates her. One day Molly has a brilliant idea. After a few days of trial and error, Molly sells Asian diet hamburgers. The customers like them, and some even think of them as fantastic. One regular customer asks Molly, "What is the secret of this new and tasty hamburger?" She tells him the meat is made of insects, which is very common in Asia, and that she catches the insects all in her own restaurant.
It was high summer. The sun was extremely hot. Two travelers were going along a dusty road that had no trees along its sides. Looking for some shelter from the hot sun, they saw a tree with big leaves and branches spread like an umbrella. They placed their belongings on the ground and sat in the cool, thick shade of the tree. After taking some rest, one traveler said to the other, "What a useless tree it is! It bears no fruits at all." Hearing this, the tree felt pinched and burst out. "You ungrateful soul! On one hand, you are taking shelter in my cool shade from the burning heat of the sun, and on the other hand, you are calling me useless. Get up and leave the place immediately to be scorched again." Once a mischievous boy lived in a village that stood in the feet of a hill. One day he thought of having fun at the cost of his fellow villagers. Standing on a high rock, he shouted at the top of his voice, "Lion! Lion! Come, save me!" The villagers heard the shout and ran to help him. But when they reached there, they could see no lion, and the boy was perfectly all right. The boy laughed at the villagers, saying, "No lion, I did it only for fun." The villagers got highly annoyed and came back with an air of anger. Few days later the boy repeated the whole act. Again the villagers went to his rescue, but were duped again. Now they decided not to be fooled by him anymore. Unfortunately, one day, the lion really came there. Now the boy shouted, "Lion! Lion!" as loud as he could, but nobody came to help him out. The lion attacked the boy. The boy struggled hard to save himself, but within few minutes, the beast killed him. So once a liar, always a liar. Once, on the African plains, there lived a moody rhino who was very easily angered. One day, a giant turtle entered the rhino's territory unaware. The rhino quickly ran over to the turtle, with the intention of getting rid of it. The turtle was frightened and withdrew into its shell. When the rhino demanded that the turtle get out of his territory, there was no discernible movement. The rhino was incredibly annoyed. He thought the turtle was fooling him. So he started banging the shell to make the turtle come out. No success, and his blows got increasingly violent. He whacked it with his horn, sending the poor turtle flying in all directions. From a distance, it looked a bit like a solitary game of football, with the turtle as the ball. Quite an amusing spectacle it was, and a load of monkeys soon gathered close by to enjoy it. They laughed non-stop at the angry rhino and his struggle with the turtle. The rhino was so furious that he didn't even notice that they were there. On he went, until he had to stop for a second to get his breath. Now that he wasn't bashing the shell, he could hear the laughing and joking of the monkeys, who were making fun of him in every way you can imagine. Neither the rhino, nor the turtle who had appeared from his shell enjoyed the fact that a gang of monkeys was mocking them. So, they exchanged a knowing look, nodded, and the turtle went back inside his shell. This time the rhino very quietly retreated a few steps, looked at the turtle, looked at the monkeys, took a run up, and shot the giant turtle with such a good aim that it seemed like he was using the monkeys as skittles. The strike against the monkeys turned that place into something of a casualty ward for baboons. There they all lay, covered in cuts and bruises, and not even a smirk crossed their lips. Meanwhile, off went the rhino and the turtle, smiling like old friends, and while the monkeys were putting on their sticking plasters, their chief realized it was about time they found a better way to amuse themselves than making fun of others.
I am lonely. I am always by myself. I meet people every day. I smile at them. I say hello. I am nice to them. I want to have a friend. But I have no friends. What is wrong with me? I am polite. I am friendly. I am nice. I am kind. Why don't people like me? All I want is one friend. Everyone has one friend. I always see people with their friends. They laugh with each other. They have fun with each other. They do things with each other. What about me? I am by myself. I watch TV by myself. I go to the movies by myself. I go to restaurants by myself. I go to the park by myself. I told my mother that I am lonely. She said it is my fault. Why? I asked. She said, because you never ask anyone to be with you. My mom is right. I never ask people to be with me. I am afraid they will say no.